Good evening, everyone. I wanted to add the third and final video explaining our GoFundMe campaign. This one I wanted to talk about the plan. You know, how viable is this? Is this a pie in the sky dream? You know, can I make this happen? So I wanted to open saying I have been planning this very cautiously. When the idea had first come to me, I'd thought about doing something local here in Denver, but it was looking difficult. So when I was looking out in New Orleans, I wanted to plan for its success if it was strictly on my shoulders, if I was the one paying the rent, so to speak. So I wanted to go over a few things, a few numbers, what I have found in the area, and buildings that I could, I found a couple I could rent to the shop below, and then the spaces above, they usually rent out to a couple different people. I could probably rent the entire building. The one I'm basing my model on, I actually did look at, it's $10,000 a month rent for the entire building. And that sounds astronomical, but that is the storefront, the studio behind, and two floors of living space above that. So again, if it's just me, assuming I'm going to have my shop open, I plan on 22 days a month. That gives me enough cushion for days that I'm not feeling great. At 22 days a month to afford the entire building, just me, I would have to sell 3.63 lamps per day. That's it. And on average, that's very achievable if you factor in high tourist times where I would be making greater sales to less time where I'd have to be promoting and maybe hustling a little bit for the sales, but it's very achievable. That is also if the shop is just me and just lamps. That's not factoring on the rest of my art, the sun catchers, the jewelry boxes that I make currently, or anything I have planned in the future. That's also, that's not factoring Rosie's salary. She's going to continue to work. She can work remote. Her position will allow that. So that there's my disability until I work my way off of that. And that's the whole plan, is to sell so much I can't qualify for disability anymore, and I can take care of myself. That also doesn't take into account Rosie's art or our rather stable consignment strategy, as well as overstock and drop ship type merchandise, which I could pull into the store to flesh it out. And those numbers don't include any of that other merchandise which we would have for sale. The buildings that I'm looking at will have enough space to house all of us in the upper floors, leaving the studio behind the shop on the main floor. If you factor on the family and everybody contributing for rent and so forth, and not having it all be on the studio, the shop itself is roughly $6,000 a month just for the shop. And that would equate to 2.18 lamps per day if it was still strictly just the lamps. Given the high foot traffic and the tourist times, that's incredibly achievable. Just me, just myself, and just one thing that I can make. So that brings another question. Why not already? Because I have been working on this for about a year and a half, 2 years now, trying to find a way to make this work for me. There's some limitations. That's probably the simplest answer, is cost limitations. Without a storefront to display and sell and essentially be able to move a lot of different pieces. With it being as slow as it is, I cannot order in bulk, and I cannot order ahead, and I can't get any kind of volume discounts, which eats heavily into my into the profit margin, and why I'm not currently paying myself a salary. All of these are limitations that have prohibited me from trying to get a foothold where I'm at. The way I've been currently working at it have been somewhat irregular venues. I have to go out to this farmer's market or to this show or to that show, which means I don't get consistent foot traffic. Nobody gets a second look. It's got to be a first time buy, which I do pretty well with, but I need a steady traffic flow. And that is just not feasible here in Denver, where it is in New Orleans. My living situation, I can't currently house the number of units I would need to pull in order to get a volume discount, a significant volume discount. I can't house that many lanterns and glass and so forth in my current studio setup. Getting back to the foot traffic, in Denver, there's not a place that I can find that would have the dedicated foot traffic of a tourist type situation where people are coming and looking to spend their money, quite frankly. So there's not a venue in Denver where I could get I could generate the sales that I would need. It would be a definite struggle without a venue like in New Orleans, where it's a tourist destination and people are already kind of predisposed to the history and antique. I wouldn't be fighting an uphill battle. Another reason, physically, currently, I cannot make that many lamps a day in the setup I have with the supply issues that I have. It's difficult physically for me to be able to do that, because I'm having to do one by one by one instead of blocking out a bunch of work and making it a little more cost and time effective. I have been able to push those numbers here during the holiday season with special orders, and that was challenging because of the limitations of the space and outside circumstances, but the alleviation of some of those with new living situations would help. I would eliminate a lot of that. So I can't currently perpetuate those kind of numbers, and there's a couple of factors to that. Number one, the studio is just not big enough. It's time to grow. There are other complications in my current living situation, which really necessitated the need to move. I have to get out of my current condition, and I want to do what's going to be best for myself and my family and provide a future for us. You know, if I'm going to be doing a big undertaking, it might as well really be worth it and put all of my effort behind it. Some of the environmental aggregates, I have some allergy issues where I'm at. There are some issues that have come up more recently. Right now, I reside, and the studio and everything is in the basement. And up until recently, I didn't realize that was a very big issue for me as I've worked through some of the childhood traumas that brought about the movement disorder. I've come to realize that basements are just not a fun place for me to be. And I have to leave. That having the studio down here, having my safe space in a place that has never felt safe is very conflicting. And that eats away at my abilities to do much of anything, really. And so with those combined factors, the fact that I have to leave, it's not healthy for me here anymore because my situation has changed and I have to take care of me and I have to take care of my family. And so it's time to move, and come what may, I am New Orleans bound. This is absolutely going to happen. I already have a backup plan. Just you wait and see. I sure do appreciate your help. And if you could spread the word, I would really appreciate that. Because I'm not looking for any one person to lay down a great big chunk of money, and some people really have, and I thank you. But if you could just share it with anybody that you think might be keen to supporting the arts, I would really appreciate that, and that would help us out a lot. And we aim to open our shop and sell love and light. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.